Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, breaking down college football playoff scenarios going across all the conferences. We've looked at the SEC. Please check out the video. And, of course, you help drive the channel by throwing down the like, the comment, and, of course, subscribing to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, where we bring you the best discussion, debate, and analysis of the game we love. Right here, it's for the hardcore sports fan, the hardcore college football fan, and the smart fan. That would be you. All right, let's look at the Big Ten. Looks like Ohio State, Michigan, like the 1970s at this point. Can two teams possibly get in from the Big Ten? Well, that was the talk in the offseason. It was, well, the SEC is the best shot of getting two teams in the college football playoff, and the Big Ten would be second because of, obviously, the dominance of the East. All right, well, with Penn State and Wisconsin both losing last week, Penn State especially has taken themselves out, obviously, with the two losses. Wisconsin is on life support. Their only hope is that they can win a division and get back to a Big Ten championship game and maybe beat an undefeated team. And who knows, if all chaos breaks out across the country, Wisconsin still has that much hope left. So two teams getting in from the Big Ten seems almost impossible. This would be the scenario. Michigan runs the table. They beat Ohio State, an undefeated Ohio State team in the game. So Michigan finishes 11-1, Ohio State 11-1, and it's the Alabama-Auburn situation to an extent. Michigan goes on and wins the Big Ten championship game, and the Buckeyes finish 11-1 and still gain entry because they just lost to the number 3 or 4 team in the country in a close game. Let's say they finish 11-1. We saw it before with Penn State, of course, and Ohio State in 2016. All right, so that's the very best case scenario with two teams getting into the Big Ten from the Big Ten. Otherwise, the best case scenario for the Big Ten, or the safest, is obviously Ohio State. They're undefeated. They run the table. They win it all. They're in the college football playoff. The worst case scenario is cannibalization in the East, and it's still possible. We've only seen maybe two of the big games with Penn State, Michigan State, and Sparty winning last week, and Ohio State, Penn State, of course. So the round robin needs to continue and churn, and if they beat each other, then you've got cannibalization in the East. You don't have a clear-cut dominant team in the West, and especially if the Western team wins the Big Ten championship game, then the Big Ten could play itself out of the college football playoff. It's possible. The wild card in all this is Iowa. The Hawkeyes are 5-1. They lost to Wisconsin. They would have liked to, other than Wisconsin losing another game so that they could get to the Big Ten championship game, they kind of need Wisconsin to play well to a certain extent, to look better. If we're thinking college football playoff, I don't know that Iowa fans and Iowa people think college football playoff. They just want to win the West and get there somehow. But right now they're 5-1. They've got a close loss to Wisconsin, so not an embarrassing loss. They go to Penn State. That would be a nice win. Let's say Penn State finishes 10-2. Well, they would be 9-3 with a loss to Iowa, but the Hawkeyes beat a top 15 Penn State team. Then they win a championship game over an undefeated Ohio State team. So Iowa runs the table. They're 11-1. Then they win the Big Ten championship game over Ohio State. Iowa's the wild card in all this. My preseason prediction was pretty standard. Ohio State 11-1, Wisconsin 10-2. Buckeyes win the matchup in Indianapolis for the Big Ten. What's going to happen? I believe that Michigan's playing the best football in the Big Ten right now. They just routed Wisconsin, and Wisconsin is not as good defensively as they've been. And they fooled us going into this season, although I don't necessarily feel I was fooled at 10-2 because I knew that the defensive front seven was not near Wisconsin standards. And, of course, the passing game was abysmal last week and has been against good teams most of the time. Michigan's outplaying Ohio State. Ohio State has the one factor in the standings currently because they've got the Penn State game out of the way. Michigan gets to play Penn State at home, but they've got to travel to East Lansing and Columbus. All right. I'm going to stay with the Buckeyes. They've got the best talent, the best roster, the best passing game, but, man, defensively, Michigan is stout. And I want to stay with my preseason prediction as well. The Buckeyes beat a 10-2 Iowa team. So Iowa's got to make up ground because of the head-to-head loss to Wisconsin, but I believe they do it. Wisconsin's got to go to Penn State, but Iowa does as well. let's say they both lose. Well, Wisconsin's got to lose another game somewhere. I'm going to bank on that. I'm going to say the Buckeyes defeat Wisconsin in the Big Ten Championship, or I can always rely on my preseason pick of Wisconsin gets there. That's my breakdown of the Big Ten. Would love to hear what you have to say about the Big Ten Conference and chances of getting to the college football playoff and scenarios in Indianapolis for the Big Ten Championship game. We do it the right way here at Mark Rogers TV. For the smart fan, that's you. And we talk it up right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football.